People who have met their online friends, what made you instantly regret it? Met my best friend at the time on League of Legends. After talking every day for 3 years, I ended up moving to a state much closer to him, so we decided to finally meet. We talked before about all the things we'd do together and how awesome it would be. I loved him so much. He was there for me through so much and was a wonderful friend. He had a new girlfriend at the time of our meetup and he brought her along with him. I had no problem with this, because I'd love to meet the woman who makes him happy. It was abundantly clear from the get-go that she wasn't a real big fan of me. I did my best to be kind, and still had tons of fun. I didn't hear from my friend much after that. A mutual good friend of ours messaged me, and when I asked about my best friend, they said that his girlfriend was telling people that I was basically an awful person for whatever reason. 3 years later and he is engaged to this woman and I'm happy for him. But I haven't spoken to him in those 3 years. I still miss him every day, and I wish I could be there for him on his wedding day. Not instant regret, but did make me realize things could have gone badly if this friend hadn't been a good human. I used to play Halo 2 with a guy, Molested Spartan. I always thought the name was hilarious, and he said it was what Xbox randomly assigned him when he let XBL choose his username. That has nothing to do with how the event went. Just his name in case HES on Reddit. We were playing Halo one day and I made some off-the-wall comment about how bad traffic was due to them redoing one of our local roads. And he said his town was redoing a lot of roads too. I think I had a friend over or coming over, and I forgot to mute my mic and said the road he lived on, asking when he had to leave. Come over again. This was 15 years ago. A little fuzzy. Anyways, Molested Spartan was like, holy crap. Do you live in XYZ? And I told him yeah. Turns out he lived like 5 miles away from me on the other side of town. We met up. I was about 11 or 12 at the time. He was like 17. And he went and bought me a burger and milkshake while we chatted. Pretty cool dude from what I remember. But when I got home I thought about how different that could have been if he wasn't just some high schooler trying to make a kid's night with a burger and shake. My brother met a girl in person that he had known for 4 to 5 years online, during which time they had kind of had an online relationship. She had brought her friend with her to meet him, and while they were sitting around a table awkwardly making conversation, with my brother apparently quite shocked at how bad she looked in person compared to how she looked online, and having absolutely no interest in her other than as friends, the girl sent her friend a message saying, "OMG, get me out of here. He's looking at me like he wants to jump me." But she accidentally sent it to my brother. What ensued was likely incredibly painful to be part of. My brother showed her his phone and looked at her in disgust. I am leaving to meet them abroad in less than 24 hours. Thanks for the good sign, man. These are the exceptions, not the norm. I've met countless folks from the internet and still have all my kidneys, even a couple extra. Maybe not regret it, but it gave me years of depression. I met my best friend through Minecraft. Never made friends in this and I just wanted to play with someone. I have no idea why, so I complimented this girl's skin. We started talking. She was American. I'm Polish and my English sucked. We moved to Skype and at first I mostly typed. But later on she started teaching me English somehow by talking with me. She was 1 year older. We knew each other for almost a year and I was staying up all night just to talk to her and her friends that she introduced to me. She was also depressed, so we talked with each other and she was the first person that truly listened to me. We had plans of visiting each other, and then our mutual friend told me she committed suicide. 4 years passed by and now at least I can talk about it and not cry. Still miss her very much though. I met my old friend on Roblox about 3 years ago, but he turned out to be like 40. You did say it was your old friend. She flew in town to be a bridesmaid in my wedding, and she decided to cheat on her husband with one of the groomsmen and blame me for that. Because it was my wedding, so that clearly makes it my fault. She was unfaithful. How dare you have a wedding on this, the day of my adultery. Met a girl I really liked on WoW, but she lived in another country. After a couple of vacations there, it turned into a relationship. Made the decision to move and start a new life there with her. After living there for 4 months I slowly realized she was crazy as hell. Huge mood swings paired with a lot of aggression. Ended up getting stabbed in the side by her while asleep. Needless to say, after getting out of the hospital I took the first plane back home. She's still in a psychiatric hospital. I invited him over to my house and he shat all over my toilet. Just to clarify, it was not in the toilet, it was on the seat and a bit of it landed on the floor. It was supposed to be a date. She had her hand on another guy's leg at the bar. I did a Grandpa Simpson at the burlesque. He catfished me, always bragged about how he lost a bunch of weight and then looked like the before pictures he posted. Not that I personally cared, but he got a lot of online attention from girls because of this. Also, he made fun of me for being poor, having a beat-up car, eating cheap food, etc. What a douche. I have weird story about a lesbian I met online and eventually IRL. For reference, I'm a bi girl. We started talking after I made a comment on a lesbian forum about being a single lesbian mom. I still didn't know if I was bi or a lesbian at the time. We started messaging a lot, hundreds of texts a day. This included sexting and trading nudes a lot too. But she was always obsessed with my daughter, like almost demanding pictures of her and updates on her. Eventually we arranged to meet up. When we finally see each other in person, she looks shocked and asks where my daughter was, being babysat by mom so we can have a date. I could tell this threw her off a bit. After our date we start hooking up at my place. Even then she was still asking about her. After this, can I meet her? Would you let me babysit? Do you think she'll start calling me mommy? I was like, chill, she's 1 year old. This combined with her being obsessed with my daughter's stuff, including stealing a pacifier, a dirty onesie, going through the diaper pail. I decided this lady is crazy. She ended up stalking me for a while, but I was moving back in with my mom anyway, so I managed to escape. You made the right move. Holy shit, I am so glad you didn't let this woman meet your daughter. I was 13 and had a 20-year-old pen pal in Hong Kong. Both of us female. We met on Tumblr and emailed each other regularly. My parents were CC'd in all our correspondence, and we basically just talked about our cultures. About a year of us talking went by, and she said that her university allowed her to study abroad in Europe for a semester and she chose my country. Fun. I was excited. However, some time went by and our friendship kinda faded, to the point where I had forgotten she was even coming to my country. About 2 weeks before she was supposed to come, she emailed me that her student accommodation had to be cleaned out, so she couldn't access it on the night that she arrived. She needed a place to stay for 1 night. I asked my mum and she agreed to pick her up from the airport with me, and she could stay with us for 1 night. I mean, we trusted this girl. I was very open about my friendship with her. We had pictures and everything. So 2 weeks later, we pick her up from the airport, and we didn't click. She kinda annoyed me, but it was late and so we just went home. We get home and get her settled. We went up to my room. She gave me some presents and we chat a little bit. She says thanks for letting me stay here this semester. Huh, excuse me, this semester? I asked her, like, what do you mean? You can stay here tonight. We can see each other during the weekends if you want to hang out, but you can't stay here. She goes quiet. We go to sleep. At this point I just wanted her to go away, and I got what I wanted. The next morning I wake up, and she's gone. I don't even know how she got out, because we locked the doors at night, but she just vanished. We have special locks that you need a key for to open, and the key was somewhere else in the house. Yes, I think this is a fire hazard. No, my mum can't be convinced it's unnecessary. Her suitcase was still there. I tried calling her. She didn't pick up. She eventually texted me, asking if my mother could drop off her suitcase at a train station 40 minutes away at a certain time. My mother brought the suitcase, and that was that. Never seen her or spoken to her again after that. Update. Now that I think about it, I have a theory about why this went down like it did. She most likely put down my address on her visa application as her place of residency during her stay and needed to stay in my house in case immigration was going to check if she was actually there. Also, for those wondering why she annoyed me, she treated my mother like a taxi driver and she shot down everything I said to her. She was rude to me until she gave me the presents, after which she directly started talking about staying with me the whole semester. She didn't want to talk to me after I said that I had told her she could stay for 1 night on that exact date. I told her we could discuss it with my parents in the morning. Her and my English were both great, and we had discussed specific dates. I didn't put this in the original comment because I didn't think this would blow up like it did, and I'm not Irish. Was at a really bad place, got bullied in school, was kinda chubby, and had some social anxiety. Went to LAN party with some friends I met over playing WoW. At the time I regretted it because they actually were good for me and gave me happiness. It ruined my then current plans for taking my life. Today I love them all more than life. The fact the guy kept calling his exes crazy. He forgot I know several of his exes and they were, still are the least craziest people I know. When I was in high school I met a guy from a different high school in a local chat room. We hit it off and after a few days we agreed to meet up at the store I worked at once I finished work. Well, I guess he showed up a little early, with a friend, and came through my check stand. I thought it was him, we'd swapped photos. But I was really shy and didn't want to be wrong. I waited for him to introduce himself. But he never did, and he and his friend paid for whatever they had and left without conversation. I was still hopeful that wasn't the guy, so I waited up for him for an hour after my shift. Of course, he never showed, because that absolutely was the guy. He must have been disappointed when he met me in the checkout line, and instead of being a decent person and saying he wasn't interested, he just ghosted me. If I could go back in time, I definitely would have said something to him at the check stand. That's my one regret. Do dating app people count? Because he told me he was a vampire within 10 minutes. I have a vampire story. My first boyfriend ever told me he was a vampire. Twilight was very popular at the time and then asked if I would sacrifice my humanity to be a vampire too. I played around and was like, "Ye sure?" and then the bit my neck. LMFAO. When I was 14 I had an online friend 2 states away who was 14. He and his mom took a trip to see me and the first thing we did when we saw each other was run full speed at one another. Our heads bounced off each other and I chipped my tooth and broke his braces. I'm pretty sure his front tooth was also loose and had to go to the dentist to fix it. Met up with a friend I met in WoW. I fell down steps. Instead of helping or asking if I am okay, she laughed. Hard, like, not breathing, on the floor, gasping for air, seal clapping hard. We've been friends for like 8 years ever since that and she still reminds me. She probably just didn't want you to cry. It works on babies. Friend for 6 years flies over to Australia to hang with me for a month. Little did I know he was a bit taller than me. I was 5 feet 10. He was, well, 6 feet 7. I never knew he was this tall. He never talked about it, and when I was at the Brisbane airport waiting for him, I texted him stating, "I don't know where you are," to which he replied, "Look up. Towering over everyone is this blonde guy that has the arm span of the airport lobby." I cried. We laughed. And I regret bringing him over because my ceiling almost hits his head. We went to a convention and he drunkenly told me and my boyfriend that he wished we weren't together so he could sleep with me. It was very awkward. And he's lucky my boyfriend, now husband, is a patient man. It was my friend Kate who befriended this girl, Jessica, who allowed us to come and stay with her when we traveled to the US. Jessica was rude to me instantly and kept my friend away from me. I'd go upstairs and she'd find a reason for them to go downstairs. She had Kate share her bedroom and she'd lock the door for hours, and so I'd just go off and do my own thing. We met her 2 odd friends and they both ignored me. When it was time for Kate and I to move on to another state, Jessica insisted on coming with us. The lady we stayed with in another state, Robin, took no shit and called Jessica out on her strange behavior. Jessica proceeded to lock herself in a room and demanded Kate stay in there with her. They were in there all day and eventually Kate came out and said to me that there's something wrong with Jessica and she's actually scared. Kate and I had plans to stay with another online friend, Matt, in another state, and Jessica demanded we cancel because she doesn't like or trust Matt. We said no, this is our holiday and we've paid for flights. And Jessica said then she will come with us but we can't meet up with Matt. We said no. She cried. We left. Kate blocked her on everything. Kate's mother called us not long after saying Jessica contacted her crying, saying Kate is in danger, and we abandoned Jessica. And she's so concerned for my friend's safety to add. As I recall, she claimed to be concerned about Matt and basically wanted Kate's mum to tell us to stay with Jessica. It was actually incredibly scary. Kate found out later from another girl. Jane. They all knew each other from a forum that Jessica had been telling everyone they were in love and had even slept together. I don't know how much of that is true, but I've known Kate for 20 years now and she's never identified as anything but straight. She denied it 100%. Jessica was just obsessed with her, and months later Kate heard Jessica was telling everyone she was saving money to come to our country to find Kate. She never did. Thankfully, other than the time spent with this girl, we had a great holiday and made some good friends. I still talk to Matt. He's great. I met a friend on here and we planned to travel together. We met up at a city to start hitchhiking. I instantly regretted it because he seemed like he had no clue of what was happening and that made everything a bit annoying. That feeling lasted 2 days. And now I miss him very much and hope we could see each other again soon.